Y'all already know what it is. Jay Williams, Let's Live Life, and we're back. I seen something in the news today on a woman that I saw it early this morning, and it turned my stomach. And it irritated me when I found out that with this case that we're going to get in today, and some other cases of guys I did time with, that just like these people that I'd done the time with, they tried to send her to a nut hospital and say that she wasn't right in the head. Apparently, when you do things that people just can't fathom, there's got to be something wrong with you. Because you can't just be a killer. You can't just be a sicko. They always want to give you the benefit of the doubt. Today, we're going to get into the difference between somebody that's mentally ill, somebody that's just a savage, somebody that's just a killer, somebody that just kills because it's what they decided to do. It's a crazy world we live in, man. And I can't believe that some of the people that do these things are actually human. Y'all know I done seen it, y'all know I done lived it. So let's relive it. What I'm about to say is gonna sound, it's gonna sound crazy to some people. In doing time with guys that are convicted of murder, I can understand why murder takes place in some situations. I can understand why somebody would take somebody else's life on certain situations. I've met men that killed other men that had hurt their family members. I met a guy this is crazy, man, many years ago up Greensville that slept in the cell next to me, that killed the man that had raped his little girl. Then called the police, told them what he had did, and went back to trying to kill him some more. The man was already dead. Called the police, told them I caught this man in the act of raping my little girl, and I beat him to death with a statue in my living room. This guy's story in particular, he had, from what he told me, and these are the facts of the matter, he had left and went to the store and left his daughter, which was like 7, 8 years old, at the house, and his 12-year-old son there. Told his son, I'm going to go grocery shopping, watch his sister, I'll be back in a little bit. He returns a short time later, got to the store, and said the grocery store was maybe 10, 15 minutes away. Gets all the way to the store, realizes, damn, I left my money at the house. Turns around and comes back, and a guy that lived 3 doors down from him was in the middle of violating his little girl in the middle of his living room floor. The guy had a hoodie on, he covered his face and had his pants down, and he walks into this. His son that was supposed to be watching the daughter, his sister, the little girl, left the house and went 3 doors down to this other kid's house and said, hey, my dad went grocery shopping. I'm going to play the game with you for a little bit before he gets home. And dude told me, he's like, I was strict on my kids, but I loved my kids. Man. He's like, I didn't let him go over there and play with these other kids and play video games. I thought it was a waste of time, so I wouldn't let him go over there. Well, when the other kid's dad hears that, this little boy's over there and that this little girl's home alone, he masked up and goes over to this little girl. This man walks in the middle of this. He beats this man to death with a statue in the living room, murders him right there on the scene. Told me he held his daughter, cried, said he did the best as a father as he could to try to make sense of what was going on. Meanwhile, this other man that he just killed is laying there, done beat the brains out of his head, smashed him. Picks up the phone, calls 911 and tells them what happened. When the police they get to the scene of the crime, he's still beating the man. The man's been dead for a while now. He continuously beats the man. You would think that would be a crime of passion, right? You would think that as a father, you wouldn't do no time behind nothing like that. You would think that That's justifiable in my eyes. I think he did what any father that loves his children, what any mother that loves his children, what any human being that comes across something like that would do. He was sent off to prison for a long time. It is a corrupt system at times that oversees these convictions and the sentencing. To think that you get sent to prison for taking the life of somebody that has pretty much ruined the life of somebody you love. I guess the court said that, you took the law into your own hands. Then with the overkill and you continuously doing this in front of the police, you could have called the cops. We would have handled it. But no, you took it into your own hands. Off to prison you go. That's a situation where if you tell me homicide's not justifiable, you really need to check yourself. You need to ask yourself what you would have done in that situation. I know what I'd have done. When I met this man, his daughter was coming to see him. She was a grown woman. A grown woman. She would be up there, every few months to see her dad. This happened when she was a child. And her father's still in prison behind what took place. She loved her dad and he loved his kids. Then you've got the son who has to deal with the guilt of him just being a kid and wanting to go play a video game like other kids. But he's got to now carry the weight of him leaving his sister alone led to this act. And it's not his fault. So if you are the son and you see this, I'm not blaming you. You're not to blame for what that man did. But I'm sure that's a heavy burden to tote on your shoulders. These monsters that we've talked about in the past, they look like all of us. They wear business suits. They wear dirty jeans and construction boots. They work in dentist offices. They work in courthouses. They work at toll booths. They work everywhere, man. And they're real. We had a guy named Chin. A shout out to all my Asians before I start this section of the video off today. Shout out to all my Asians, man, for what I'm about to get into. The Asians out here in Virginia, I got to turn this AC on. It's hot. It says it's 121 degrees in this truck. The Asians here in Virginia, they're few and in between. I can't really remember any point in time where I was like, damn, there goes 15 Asians. And this goes to the system, to prison and jail. You just didn't. And if there was a group of Asians, they categorized the Asians just on the fact of whatever, man. You could be Cambodian, he's Asian. You could be from Taiwan, he's Asian. You could be from wherever you going in the Asian car, you're Asian, right? The Asian dudes stuck together. That's how it went down. They were loyal to one another. These dudes stayed tight. And they were a lot like the Spanish guys in the aspect of, if you went at one of them, you went at all of them. These guys were, for the majority of them, for the ones that the older guys didn't have all the tattoos, but for the younger guys, these guys were heavily tatted. You know what I mean? Like my homeboy Bode. And they called him Bode because he had Cambodia tattooed across his shoulder blade. So they just called him Bode. And one of the main reasons they called him Bode is because it started off, it said Cam, then it said Bode, and then it said Dia. The Bode part stuck out really big. It was like it started off with small letters and then went bigger. But the biggest part you seen on his back was Bode. Bode would rock out behind his Asian dudes. Bode was a street dude that, for real, Bode could have fit in any project in America. You could have dropped Bode off in any Mr. Black street dudes, and he would have fit right in. He was a street dude because he was from Cambodia. His parents came from Cambodia. This dude was raised up in the projects. He would go behind his old heads. You mess with one of them old Asian dudes, and Bode would go. And telling y'all this, they would also find out. They would do the math and do the homework on why the dudes they had around them and what they were locked up for. Much respect to these dudes, man. One way or another, they're going to find out if you're Asian why you're around them. And if shit ain't right, they're going to get at you. In comes this dude named Chen. C-H-E-N. That's his last name. Chen is a fatter Asian dude. Speaks, you know, I guess Taiwan, whatever they speak over in Taiwan. He speaks that language. And he speaks perfect English. The Asians embrace him. They bring him in. They get him moved out the cell that he's in. He's in the cell with a gay guy. He doesn't like that. They're not going to have it. They get him moved in the cell with another Asian dude. A couple years would go by. And sometimes you got to think, back then it was different. We didn't have Google. We didn't have all the access to all the things we have today. So the act of finding out why somebody was locked up was a lot harder. You had to send people to the courthouse to pull up documents. There were ways, but it was a lot harder to find out why a man was actually in prison. It's not like today we can just Google somebody's name or type it into some search website and boom, all their charges pops up. You had to really have somebody out in the streets that was going to put in footwork to find out why a man was locked up, right? They do this time with Chen. Everybody's embraced Chen. Chen's starting to get tatted up now, right? I start to hear rumors that the Asian dudes are getting ready to pretty much flip Chen. They getting ready to put work in on Chen. I notice now when they go in the chow hall, Chen's not sitting with the Asian dudes. When they're mealing up at night and all the Asians are out there at the table making these prison meals, and some of the Asian dudes had some of the best ideas and concoctions when it came to ramen noodles and beef tips and other things you could order on commissary. Man, these dudes were nice. I'm telling you, they were nice with the cooking in prison, right? Chen ain't eating with them out there in the day room no more. The Asian dude he was in the cell with done kicked Chen out. They told Chen, you can get on them bars, you can go to them guards, tell them guards, you can't be in here. One way or another, you can get out this cell. We know why you're locked up. They've kept it amongst themselves. It's crazy how you can do that because everything gets discussed in the penitentiary. But the Asians have kept what Chen was locked up for amongst the Asians. And I guess that's because they wanted to get at Chen. They didn't want the black guys to get at him. They didn't want the white guys to get at him or the gang members to start extorting him. They wanted him to be left alone until they decided to move on him, right? They've all gotten word of why he's locked up. But one of the things is you can't go off of what somebody's saying on the streets. You got to see the paperwork. You got to see it in black and white. So these guys are waiting for these decoded charges to be sent in. They can't be just sent in with his name on it, arrest and all that, because the guards are going to flag it. The guards are going to be like, hey, wait a minute. This paperwork right here can get this other inmate hurt. They're going to tear it off in the mailroom. So what this guy's doing is he's having people sent in sections in each envelope. Arrest date, case file, with the dude Chen's name on it. Cut that off, put that in the envelope, or photocopy it to a letter. Then the next section of it, arrested on such and such date. Arrested for, found guilty of, sentenced. The paperwork comes in. Chen is now in a cell with an older black man. Older black man's got life. He ain't concerned what the hell Chen's got going on. He sticks to the prison politics. Mind your business. If it ain't your business, leave it alone. If it don't apply, let it fly. What that man did ain't got nothing to do with me. That's how it is. I know it sounds messed up, but a lot of times that's how the East Coast law is. Man's doing his time just like you, young buck. Who was you to ride down on him for anything he did? Mind your damn business. The judge put him in here just like he put you in here. Mind your damn business. Only God can judge that man. You ain't no better than him. That's how a lot of these old guys talked and they looked at it, right? All this shit pops off. We go to rec one day, and there's a couple officers on the yard, and I see them all running back to the building. Now, what I noticed on this day in particular was there was no Asian dudes from my building on the yard. And they were easy to spot because they used to do, there was a section of the fence we would walk under. They had a divider that had chain link fence with razor wire, and there was an opening you could walk through to go to another section of the yard. And then there was a bar that went across that used to have, you know, where fence and razor wire used to run across it. The Asian dudes would do pull-ups on these bars the whole rec period. Well, I'm able to walk through this section of fence without bumping into the Asian dudes. The hell is all the Asian dudes at, right? There's no Asian dudes on the yard. I'm looking around. And I've noticed this pretty fast. You come to notice and understand your surroundings, the little things stand out. If one little thing changes on that yard, you notice it. You notice when the grass is cut. Small things drag your attention. I noticed there wasn't no Asians on the yard. All these guards, there's 2 guards on the yard, they take off running off the yard, through the gate, and into my building. I see other guards come running down a stretch of sidewalk we call the boulevard, and they're running into the building. These Asian guys that done ran down on Chin. These dudes are doing everything from kicking him, stomping him, stabbing him, cutting him, and they got him in the cell, and they're pretty much trying to murder this man in this cell, right? We come in from rec, and it's go straight to your cell and lock down. When something like this happens, state police, investigators from the outside get involved, whether it be a murder, attempted murder. Detectives come in. They move the one guy out the cell that, you know, if he ain't got nothing to do with it, put him in another cell or in the whole investigation, and they lock that cell. That cell has become a crime scene, right? I get in the pod, and my cellie's in there, and he tells me, man, they about killed Chan. I said, did they kill him? He was like, man, I don't know. He was like, when they brought him out, like, the guards had him and the nurses had him. He didn't seem responsive to me, man. They wheeled him up out of here, and they, you know, one of the inmates in there mopped the blood up and shit. He's like, they kept us on the yard because it was easier to control the environment with all of us on the yard rather than trying to bring all of us in while this was going on. So they kept us on the yard longer than usual. Like, we spent another hour and a half past the average time we would stay on the yard waiting to come in. He was like, man, it was so many dudes going in the cell. It was so many different languages being spoke. Like, you couldn't even see what was going on. He was like, but when the guards came in, a couple guys tried to peel off. They just started handcuffing people and taking people out. Throughout the course of that evening, I'm watching all these different, the guards are pushing these different carts in and loading all these different Asian dudes stuff up. And like I told you, there was not a lot of these dudes, man. Like, to see, you know, 10 of them in a group was a lot. But these guys had migrated to my pod because they figured out, hey, there's 3 of them already in that pod. We're going to move over there. So there was a good little Asian following in my pod, which was very uncommon. We hear down through the wire, street charges are being pressed on all these guys. Chin didn't die. Chin survived. Comes back, Chin had killed his parents and his brother. If you want to look into him, you can. Chin had killed his family, I believe it was the mid-90s. They come up missing. 2002, Chin gets arrested and indicted on these bodies. They pressed his girl, got him recorded on the phone speaking about it. His family didn't agree with him marrying outside of his race. They weren't having it. Killed his brother, shot him first, then killed the dad and killed the mom. Hired another guy to help him chop their bodies up. At this point, he had had the bodies for years. Had kept the bodies. I don't know if he stored them, froze them, what he did. This is just what I was told. He kept the bodies, hired another dude that testified against him to help him cut the bodies up, put the bodies in some form of concrete, and throw these bodies in the Chesapeake Bay. Killed his mom, his dad, and his brother, and threw them in the Chesapeake Bay. I believe he received, I want to say 35 years, 40 years. 35 years is what I think I remember hearing that Chin got for the murder of 3 of his family members. For shooting his mom, dad, and brother, then chopping them up, throwing their bodies away. Bodies were never discovered. He confessed. I think the man got 35 years for killing 3 family members. But the dude that beat the dude to death for raping his daughter got way more than that. Monsters are real. Shout out to my Asians again, man. They rode down on Chin's ass. Oh, you want to kill family members? And we're supposed to be cool and just kick it with you? You killed your mom and dad and your brother behind a woman, you piece of shit? You want to act like you are a brother, like you are a friend? And you killed the woman and the man that gave you life? Yeah, we'll try to kill your ass. As much as I hate to get into this next story, I got to. Because it might help somebody, might bring awareness to somebody, and it might save somebody's life. Let's get into it. May 12th, 2021. Sarah Gano, Virginia resident, calls her husband. Tells him the house is real bloody. Don't be sad. Don't be mad. What'd you do? He calls the police. He gets there before the police, walks in the house, finds his wife laying in the bed in the bedroom. Beside him is their 10-month-old child, stabbed to death. Disemboweled. For y'all that don't know what disemboweled means, look it up. His 8-year-old daughter is laying in the bed and has been stabbed over 50 times. His wife has taken a knife, murdered one of his kids, stabbed the other one 50 some times, and tried to kill both the kids. Police come, they arrest her. The one girl, last I heard, the little girl that's 8, survived. She was in really bad shape. She was also disemboweled. 10-month-old died. This is a mother that did this to her children. She would go on to confess to what she did. She had injuries on her, but not from a grown-up, not from defending her children. She had bruises on her forearm and on her hand from where she had been slamming her hand down with the knife in it. And while her hand was making contact and her arm was making contact, she was slamming it so hard that it was bruising her arm. She had a bite mark on her arm that came from her 8-year-old daughter that bit her, trying to defend herself. Now she's trying this, I study witchcraft, I'm crazy, I'm this, I'm that, to get around what she did. This is when the question of, is that a killer or is that mental illness? Is she a psycho? Is she crazy? Or is she a killer? Let's catch a glimpse of the news clip real quick.
Newport News police charged Sarah Gano with second-degree murder, malicious wounding, and felony child
Don't be
neglect.
sad, but the house will be bloody when you get home. Police say 35-year-old Sarah Gano sent that text to her fiancé while he was at work Monday. When he arrived at this apartment in the Lee Hall area, he reportedly saw Gano lying on the bed in the master bedroom. With her 10-month-old son, Zell Howard, already dead, her 8-year-old daughter critically wounded. A neighbor says he often heard screaming from the apartment, and police say they've answered several domestic disturbance calls.
I pray there's a special kind of hell for those type of people. As a father, as a parent, I will give my life to protect my kids, gladly. 1,000 times over. I die the most painful death any man could die to know that my children were safe. Hearing the part about, her sanity and witchcraft makes me question whether that's what it is or that's what they want it to be. I've met crazy people. Real crazy people. You want to know something? They don't know they're crazy. Most of the crazy people I've met will tell you why they did what they did. They don't know they're crazy. They stand behind it. Crazy people don't go to court and say, I'm crazy. People that play crazy might go to court and say, I'm crazy. But crazy people don't know they're crazy. They think everyone else around them is crazy. This is not an uncommon thing. The dude Chris Watts killed his wife and his kids. The little boy Gabriel, little Spanish boy that was killed by the mother and the stepfather. This is an everyday thing. This woman gave birth to these 2 kids, raised the one kid up to 8 years old, and then attempted to kill both of them. Did kill one. She killed the little one. But she attempted to kill both of them. Is there pity? Should this person be locked up in some nut house and then eventually let go one day? Is that justice? If you had to watch the video footage of what she did, do you think that after watching that, you'd be like, yeah, she should probably just be locked up? The sad part in this is she'll probably get the insanity defense. She'll probably win on an insanity plea. And that's because people just can't come to terms with the fact that monsters exist. Oh, there's got to be something wrong with her. She had to have snapped. She was possessed by a demon. She was possessed by some spirit. Her wiring broke one day and she just killed her 2 kids. At the end of the day, she did what she did. At the end of the day, those kids went through something that no human being should have to suffer through. Innocent ass children, man, just little kids. And she gets to go on locked up somewhere and live her life. You know, Virginia did away, they abolished parole. Not parole. Virginia abolished the death penalty. They also abolished parole. Welcome to Virginia. But they abolished the death penalty. And in doing so, that means that no matter what you do in the state of Virginia, the worst they can do to you is just lock you up until your last days. Well, I hope that the inmates in Virginia make every day her last, every day her worst. I hope that she gets what those children got. You can judge me, say what you want for how I feel. I'm a human being and I'm a father. And I don't buy the whole bullshit. Witchcraft, I don't buy none of that. I buy the facts. The facts is that you killed your 10-month-old kid and stabbed your 8-year-old daughter 50 plus times. And then text somebody to tell them what you had done. Didn't call the police. Called your husband, text your husband and told him. Where's the insanity at? Like I said, sometimes people like that make you almost ashamed to say that we're both human. That's not a human, that's an animal. But she's going to go where the real animals are. Yeah. She's going to go where mothers miss their children. Where mothers watch their children grow up every day without them. Where mothers wish they could hug, love, and see their kids. That's where she's going. She's the lady that killed her kid and tried to kill her other. What she's got laying, ahead of her, like I said, I pray there's nothing short of hell on earth. I'm gonna get off this topic, man. I'm gonna get off the whole Sarah Gano and her what she did. I don't deal easily with talking on these type of things. But there was a purpose behind all this. I don't think anybody can say, well, I never saw this coming. I think dude that's with her, there's a very good chance there was a whole bunch of shit leading up to this. Me as a dad, if I see my children in any type of bad environment, you're not being left there with her. If somebody's hitting my kid too hard or leaving marks on him, you can get the hell up out of my house. You're not staying here under the same roof with him. It's a crazy world we live in, man. Watch the people around you, whether it be family members, spouses, neighbors, relatives, whatever. Watch these people, man. Watch them. If you see signs of something that don't seem right, don't sit back and wait. Act. I know they say you can't predict this type of stuff, and I'll go along with that to a degree. I do think that with a lot of these people, you can see what's inside of them if you look close enough. A lot of the murderers I've met, guys that were real monsters, you can look into them, look into their eyes, see the way they carry themselves. And you don't have to ask if they've killed somebody, or if they would kill somebody, or if they would kill again. You know that's a monster. Rest in peace, man, to that child. And I hope that Sarah Gano gets what she's got coming on her day of judgment. I'm not going to speak anymore on the subject. Y'all seen the title of the video. So you be the judge. Is there a difference between somebody that's psychotic or somebody that's just a killer? Is there a difference in mental illness and being a savage? The guy in the beginning of the story I told you that killed the guy that raped his daughter, he wasn't a killer. He wasn't mentally ill. He wasn't none of those. He was a father. And in my books, he did, you know, what a father should have done. In the case of Chen wasn't mentally ill. Chen wasn't crazy. Chen made a conscious decision to kill his parents and his brother and then hide the bodies for multiple years before disposing of them. Would go on for 7-8 years before he got caught, all in the name of love. And with this Gano woman that did this to these two kids, if she took the time to pick her phone up and text, call, and say, hey, guess what I just did? She's a killer. That's the bottom line. Anyway, man, these prisons, institutions, jails, these facilities are all just crazier worlds inside of this already crazy world we live in. And as always, y'all know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? And like always, this is Jay Williams. Let's live life. To all my real ones, and there are some real ones watching. And y'all know how we do. Salute.